All right, bro. So I quit social media and became addicted to YouTube. So to give you the backstory of this, 2022. Okay, it's towards the end of 2022, August, somewhere in there. Some of you know already if you've been watching the channel. I used to do a lot of work outside, working on houses, painting, that kind of stuff. And at the time, I owned a house, and the market was doing really well. It was skyrocketing, and I was like, "Yo, let's get out of here. Let's sell the house." Because me and my girlfriend wanted to get our own place. I was there with my mom and stuff and my older brother, and we were kind of all just like splitting up and going our own ways and getting my own space, right? I needed my own apartment. So I decided to get rid of the house, sold it. I got a good chunk of money from it. And basically what happened was during that time, as that whole process was going on, I was working, pretty long days. And during those days, I would listen to YouTube like the whole day, like 7 hours a day, I'd be listening to YouTube. So I had an insane amount of time just listening to social media because I would listen to like podcasts around business, self improvement, just like topics I was interested. And so what happened was I kind of formed this addiction with YouTube because I had realized a little bit earlier from that stage, like social media is really dangerous because it causes you to compare to other people and it causes you to start looking at other people and watching their life instead of literally living your own life. So I started to understand that I needed to get rid of it. And I was never heavily addicted to like the Instagram and TikTok, but I was always super into and like always watching YouTube specifically. Ever since I was young, I tended to really go for the long form YouTube content. And so basically what happened was I formed this habit during those work days, those long work days of me just listening constantly to content around business and other topics. Cause like the reality is I was getting bored, right? At my job, there was only so much I could do in terms of, when you're swinging a paintbrush and painting and scraping and sanding houses, it's like, dude, that kind of gets boring after a while. You know what I mean? The only thing that you can do is increase your speed, but it's like you can't really increase like the mental stimulation from it. After a while, you just become good enough where it's almost on autopilot. And so I listened to these podcasts to kind of cope with that, I think, and to really just try to learn on the job, which there was nothing bad about that, except what happened was after 2022, going into 2023, I had that chunk of money. I was like, all right, look, I want to take a break. Okay, I want to take a break from this whole job. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm out here busting my ass every single day, coming home with freaking paint all over me, like constantly having to clean it off in the shower. It just sucks. So I was like, all right, I'm going to take a break. So I took a break around beginning of 2023. If you go back on my channel and look last year around this time, yeah, around the same time, like February, January was when I really started to kind of break away from that job and just go all in on YouTube. Now, I was still working that job 1 to 2 days a week, but I started to take the rest of the week to really just basically do whatever I wanted to do. I was like, well, I've been working for so many years, like let me just take a break and just see what's up, see what I want to do, where like what my direction is in life. And so I spent a lot of those days, thinking about YouTube, trying to get into it, trying to learn how it all worked and everything. But the problem was I was spending so much time watching content because instead of creating content, I started to watch a lot of this content. And the reason why I was doing that was because I had this leftover habit, this leftover addiction from when I was in the job that literally it carried over to when I started to try to do like my own business venture. And the problem with that is you might be like, whoa, well, what's wrong with YouTube? Especially if you're watching, educational content or you're watching content that's, just inspirational or just you feel like you really connect with the creator. What's wrong with that? And there isn't anything wrong with it. I've made some of the biggest discoveries in my life in terms of insights and knowledge from YouTube. YouTube University, bro. Like, but the problem with it was I needed to spend time working on my business. And instead, I was spending so much time listening to content and not creating enough content that it became a problem. And it was really only until probably towards the end of this year that I started to really understand that I had an addiction to YouTube. And throughout the day, when I was just, going to the gym, when I was taking a walk, when I wasn't actually on camera creating content, when I was driving, I would always be listening to content. And I actually made another video about this. If you go back on my channel and look about how, you shouldn't always be wearing headphones and that it's actually messing up your brain. And that actually got like a ton of views. That's kind of what catapulted my channel to get monetized. And so I still kind of stand by that concept because if you're always going around listening to this YouTube content throughout your day, yes, it's educational, yeah, it's inspirational, but there's two things happening. Number one, you have problems in life right now that you need to solve, right? In order to improve yourself, in order for you to develop and reach your full potential, you have problems that you need to solve. In my instance, I needed to focus on actually doing more in terms of business rather than being so focused on consuming content. And that was a problem that I had that I need to fix. However, your brain can't fix the problems and your subconscious mind can't work on the problems that need to be fixed if you're always overstimulated and always consuming content. It just doesn't work. I don't care what anybody says. Oh, it's inspirational, bro. It helps me, like, listening to content all the time helps me be more creative. At the end of the day, bro, your brain needs silence. It needs silence and it needs a moment of peace to be able to try to figure out these problems. Otherwise, you're overstimulating it on a constant basis. And this is exactly what I was doing to myself. And so I wasn't able to make the progress that I wanted to make in terms of my business. And I attribute a large part of that because I was constantly overstimulating myself. The second point is that if you understand anything about dopamine and your dopamine receptors and how this all works in the brain, right? And how that ties into motivation, your brain is always looking for the easiest way to get a reward in terms of dopamine. And so when you're constantly consuming YouTube content, your brain is getting that reward and that dopamine high from the YouTube content. And so what happens is instead of getting the high from creating content and being on camera and being a producer, you get that reward from being a consumer. And so that's how it turns into an addiction, because your brain literally constantly wants that feeling of listening to a podcast or listening to some educational video or listening to a self-improvement video. And so, as I've started to understand more about how this works, I've realized that I do have an addiction in terms of always wanting to be gathering more information and always listening. But a big problem with our generation right now is that we're constantly overstimulated and constantly taking in so much information, but we don't have any wisdom. We have so much information and knowledge, but we lack wisdom, right? And wisdom is just like knowing what to do with the knowledge that you get. So it's great to be watching self-improvement videos and to be trying to push yourself, because that's a great sign that you're trying to improve and trying to become a better person. But if you're obsessed with doing that on a regular basis, there comes a point where you need to stop consuming and you need to actually understand what you've taken in and actually process it and get that wisdom on what to do and how to act on it. So that's the biggest thing that I found. And I think that's a large reason why I attribute that I haven't made like a decent amount of progress, because my motivation has been stalled by consuming too much content. And I've cut out a lot of my other addictions. I'm not addicted to a lot of these other high dopamine activities, but the thing is, your brain always looks for the easiest one. So for me, maybe for me, it's not video games. Maybe for me, it's not alcohol, but for me, it's watching YouTube content all the time. And so I know a lot of people are obsessed with constantly consuming YouTube content. And the problem with that is, like I said, it's those two things. Those two things are definitely a problem, because your brain can't work on the problems you have in life when you are constantly overstimulating yourself. And it drains your motivation to do hard work. It just really does. There's no other way to go about it. And so, these past couple months, I've been realizing, all right, how can I set this up? Because for me, I'm a content creator. And so as a content creator, I kind of need to keep using these things. If you're not a content creator, to be honest with you, bro, you don't need these apps. You don't need social media. You don't need YouTube. Now, am I saying don't watch YouTube? No, I'm not saying don't watch YouTube, because like I said earlier, I've had some of my biggest insights from YouTube. I love learning from YouTube, and I love connecting with like-minded people and like people who inspire you and stuff, and who can align with you. Because the reality is, we don't have like community these days, right? We don't have community of people who are really like-minded. So you might be around either family members or friends who are really just not on the same path as you. And so YouTube provides a way for you to continue your education. Maybe you dropped out of college like I did, and YouTube is a way for you to get that education that you need in order to better yourself. So I think YouTube is not, I don't think we should delete YouTube or completely stop watching YouTube, but we have to manage it. We have to manage it so that it doesn't take over our lives, just like anything else. So really what it comes down to is, me as a content creator, I need to use YouTube. Now, social media like TikTok, Instagram, I don't have to use those things, but it is beneficial for my business because it gives me more exposure. But like I said, I was never really addicted to those things like Instagram, TikTok. Obviously, if I get on them and I start scrolling, that's what they're designed to do, is to get you addicted. But I'm not a kind of person where I'm always trying to go on my phone and go on them. It's not, it's not that appealing to me, but YouTube is. So if you're someone who's not a content creator, I would highly recommend you just delete social media in terms of like Instagram, TikTok, all these kinds of things. You don't need it. Anyone who's your actual friend, you can get their number so that you can actually talk to them in real life, in person, And that's that. You don't need this social media. I know you think you want social media. You think that you want the ability to show off and gain more status. But the reality is, bro, unless you're creating content and producing something, you are the fucking, you are the product. You are the product. That's what it is. Your attention is the product. And so what they're doing is they're literally farming your attention every single day. What I want you to do is go on the App Store right now. All right, the App Store, Google Play, whatever, Android, whatever you got. Download this app called Stay Free, because I've been doing this over the past months and I've been astonished at the amount of time I spend on my phone. Download this app called Stay Free. It's completely free. And I'm not sponsored by them. I just found their app and it's useful and it works, so I'm recommending it. Download Stay Free, and I want you to go through your week and let me know how much time do you spend on your phone at the end of the week. Because I guarantee you, right now, you could be spending 30 hours a week on your phone, on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube. That's like a full work week, bro. That you could literally be working another full-time job. Not to mention all the negative effects from social media on your mental health, comparing yourself to other people all the time and not living your life to the potential. And another thing for guys too is that, oh, well, social media, it's a way for me to, access in terms of talking to women, and it's a potential way for me to like hook up with girls and stuff like that, which I understand. But the reality, bro, if you get off social media, you're going to feel more of a drive and more motivation to go out there and meet people in real life and meet women in real life in social situations than you're ever going to feel when you're on a freaking app. You know what I mean? And it's going to be, so I'm not going to get into the whole dating side of it. I'm just saying that is not a valid excuse to keep social media. All right. If you're not a content creator, you do not need social media. You just don't need it. You don't need it. Or if you, I understand if you also have some other type of business, maybe you do, drop shipping or something else and you need Instagram for the marketing. But if you're not running a business on social media, you don't need it. And in fact, you having it is doing you way more harm than good, because it's draining your motivation. It's causing you to compare yourself to others. So it's lowering your self-esteem. And so you're not actually progressing in life as fast as you could as if you deleted it. Now, if you're like me, you're a content creator, you're not obsessed with Instagram and TikTok, but you use them here and there, and you want to continue to use YouTube, either way, whether you're a content creator or not a content creator, if you want to keep using YouTube, the way I found out to do this is get that Stay Free app. And what it allows you to do is on the app, you can actually create a time block in the day that allows you to use the app. So say from 1 to 2, you want to get on social media, you want to get on YouTube and consume some YouTube content. You can set it up so that all the rest of the day, when you click on that app, it shuts it down and says you can't get on right now. Basically, it's what it says. It's like you can't use the app right now, focus mode activated or whatever. That is an amazing feature, because basically it makes it so that you aren't in control in terms of when you click on it. If you click on it and it's not the time that you're supposed to be on, you can't access it. You have to go into the Stay Free app, change all the settings, which is just too much work. You're not going to do it. So I highly recommend that you get the Stay Free app. And this is my plan going into the future when it comes to managing social media is, number one, in the future, I might actually just delete Instagram, TikTok, and all those things, because I'm not even sure how much of a benefit it'll bring to my business, but we'll see. YouTube, I'm not ever going to delete YouTube because I love making YouTube content and I love consuming YouTube content. But what I'm going to do is, instead of listening to it throughout the day, whenever I get a break or whenever I'm doing something and interrupting my thoughts and completely overstimulating myself, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a time block during the day. So it'll be maybe, an hour, or maybe it'll be 2 hours. Because like usually for me, I tend to listen to some long form videos. Sometimes they're an hour, sometimes they're 30 minutes. You know what I mean? It's like, it can range really for me. So, I listen to longer videos. If you listen to like 5-minute videos, maybe just give yourself an hour. That lets you fit in like 10 videos or something. But if you listen to longer videos, maybe give yourself an hour, 2 hours. And when that time is up, just end it. Just completely end it. And your content and social media consumption, including YouTube, for the whole day is done. And I also really recommend that you do this like at least a few hours before bed. You don't watch any social media or YouTube or TV. Anything that's got blue light is really going to mess up your sleep. So make sure that you're doing this during the day, or like maybe right after you get home from work, or some point where it's not dark out and you're about to be going to sleep, because it'll mess up your sleep. The blue light affects your sleep. So that's basically the deal. Download the Stay Free app. Schedule your time in for YouTube and watching YouTube if you're addicted to YouTube. Delete all the other social media apps because you don't need them. Get the numbers of the people you actually care about. And you'll actually, it's sad to say this, but you'll be surprised at how many people you don't really connect with. How many people are on your quote unquote friends list or followers that don't really give a shit about you or aren't really going to pay attention to you after you get off the app. I mean, I know it's hardcore for me to say that, but it's the actual truth. It's the truth. Like, people don't really, a lot of people aren't going to care about you, bro. And so it's better for you to know that now and just take that road and find like-minded other people than to just keep pretending that you have all these friends on social media and that, you know, you're living your best life and posting all this and seeing all these people living their best life and feeling jealous and all this kind of crap, okay? It causes a lot of mental health issues. And those companies, these big companies with social media, they don't care, bro. They're farming the hell out of you. They don't care. They're making so much money off of you, dude. It's insane. And so for me, my strategy is, well, let's take advantage of it. And I'm also going to start creating content. But I'm going to try to put a positive message out there and try to actually help people. You know what I mean? And so, but for me, it's hard because I have to manage that balance between not getting addicted to it myself and actually being able to create content without getting addicted to it, if you know what I'm saying. So yeah, download the Stay Free app. Select that specific time of day that you're allowing yourself to watch the YouTube content. If you're not a content creator, delete all the rest of the social media. If you are a content creator and you use Instagram, TikTok, and you use YouTube like I do, make a time during the day, a specific time slot where you're allowed to go on and post, where you're allowed to consume content, you know, via YouTube. Because I don't, honestly, Instagram content and TikTok content, I don't even really consume it that much, bro. It's like, if I log onto the app and I see one thing, it's like, okay, but like, it's so short and so quick, and you don't even really have a choice in terms of what you consume. That's the other thing. Is like, you don't even have a choice. They literally just put whatever they want in front of your face, and you have to basically just. So that's why I don't really like it, because I like YouTube because I can actually decide if I want to watch it or not. Whereas the short form, you can't really. So, but again, I still post on there because like there's a lot of people on it, and it's like, well, I can get a lot of, you know, views, and I can get a lot of people funneling into my business. So that's the deal with it. I just wanted to come on here and just say, like, you know, that's just the case. You know, I was definitely addicted to it, and I realized my addiction. And right now I'm just sorting it out and have a plan in the future. And I actually have systems now to where it's going to keep me and prevent me from doing that whole thing where it's like drifting throughout the whole day. You're just listening to YouTube content. And it's just funny because like everyone talks about social media and how bad it is, but no one ever really talks about YouTube and how it really affects you negatively as well. Because it's still a social media platform if you think about it. You can still comment. It's still people posting. It's your favorite creators. You still have relationships. You still have, it's not like as intimate as social media, but it's basically a form of social media. So we just have to manage these things, man, so that we actually are motivated to do the work that we need to do and to make the progress that we need to make in life. So, and just enjoy life. Like lately, now that I've had this YouTube thing more under control and I have it during a certain time slot, I also don't really feel guilty. Like I don't feel guilty watching YouTube. Because I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm doing it during the time I said I'm going to do it. And I'm watching educational and inspirational content from my favorite creators. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just you don't want it spanning throughout your whole day and taking up all your motivation and energy. The other thing I would mention too is, for me, like if you're a content creator, even if you're not really, you can use social media and use it as like a reward for the work that you need to get done. So for example, if there's some work you need to do during the day, position your time of consumption for social media and YouTube videos at the end of the day, like towards the end after you've gotten everything done, and use that as like a reward, because your brain will be like, oh, okay, so at this time of day we can watch social media and that gives me a good amount of dopamine from that. Let me, you know, get through all this work first and then we can get that. And you might find yourself actually doing things faster since you have that sort of reward in the future that you're anticipating. So yeah, that's basically the deal. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments about like the Stay Free app or how you can hook it up or anything like that. You know, if you have any questions around like social media, quitting it, you know, dopamine detoxing, anything like that, leave them down in the comments. And yeah, that's basically it. I just want to come on and share my experience with this because, you know, it's like, hey man, I know about all this stuff and I still get addicted to shit too. And I have to check myself and be honest about it. So that's basically it, bro. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.